Okay, what's up, folks? This is your instructor Justin Cussman again, just coming to you with another kind of an explanation this week. This is going to be, this week is again, with these shortened 8-week classes, we're already to midterms. We're about halfway through. And so I just wanted this week is going to be a midterm test of your skills. I am going to show you something new that's going to help you out with this a little bit, but it won't take too long. It's mostly going to be you trying to build yourself a website with the stuff that you've learned so far and try to, again, test your skills, try to refine the things that you've done already. I'm just going to go over what we're doing here for midterm, though. Midterm, test the knowledge, everything so far. Like I said, you can reuse code if you want. The stuff that you've done in previous classes, that's kind of the point of web design, or at least the previous weeks. You can recycle that code if you want. Don't recycle the exact stuff. Like I said, you don't want to plagiarize yourself. You just want to use that code. Again, if you have an image code that works, copy paste that sucker. So let's get into your requirements. It's not anything beyond what you've done already, really, with a few extra additions. 4-page website, real simple. All the pages have to have the same theme. When I mean theme, try to keep the headings and the subheadings, background colors, nav bar, that kind of stuff, the colors and style of those things that you use, try to keep those the same so that it looks similar across pages. You have to have at least 3 instances of headings, H1, H2, H3 somehow in there with some copy. You're going to be writing the copy for this. This website can be, is about I forgot to mention this, is about a fictitious small business. Try to create this page so it looks legitimately like a small business page. Each page has to have a title. You have to have the index name, index.html, obviously. That's the next thing down here. Nav links between pages, right? This is all the basic stuff that we've done. Page 1 should describe what the business is and does. Describe what the business's goods or services on in page 2. Page 3 would be like hours, location, maybe a contact page or something of that nature. And I want you to try to build a form, just again to try to work with some extra code out there. I want you to do some digging. Build what would look like a little comment form on that page. It doesn't have to submit or anything like that yet, but I want you to kind of chug that in there. But all these elements need to be in there. 12 images. So it's 4 pages. You're going about 3 images per page with text as well. Didn't say that there's supposed to be text in here, but I want you to add text. Add enough copy, add enough text to your pages to make it feel legitimate. Okay, that's it. Again, look before you make this thing. Go online and dig and try and find some small businesses out there that exist and try to get a look and a feel for what they look like. As per example here, I'll just kind of show you one of the websites that we've worked on in the past in Moto Marketing Group. This is a small business website, very typical of what you would have for a small business. So when I'm talking about copy, this is exactly what I'm saying here. This kind of copy, welcome to C&M Concrete, that kind of stuff. Where, again, basic goods and services style stuff. This page, again, has all kinds of different pictures on it. You could have little banners on your pages. You could have like these kinds of clickable buttons on your pages if you wanted to. That's kind of what I'm talking about, a mixture of text and copy. Examples of things like headings. We want headings inside there and subheadings inside there. Pictures to accompany things, what you've got going on. So that's kind of the idea. A small business website, as if it would be for kind of a small blue collar type of setup. Those are easy to build and they're good in your portfolio. Okay, so all these things need to go in there. You're going to arrange all your different stuff. You're going to zip it up, and that'll be your midterm. Just a couple of things real quick. Since we're in the midterm process already, I'm going to be updating grades this weekend, this week as well, to get everybody caught up on everything. Just make sure you've submitted everything, hopefully before this weekend, and that way I can get you caught up on grading before the midterm. All right, now I do want to show you something that'll help you build your pages and lay out your content. This is going to get into some slightly more complex CSS, and it's something that we would like to use really an external CSS sheet to do this, but we haven't really gotten into that yet, and we're going to do that stuff next week. So I'm going to show you kind of a way to build an on-page grid, something that helps you facilitate the layout for your pages. Okay, it's using this thing called a grid generator. If you go to responsivegridsystem.com, this is a great website, and there are all kinds. When we get more into CSS, all kinds of generators out there that'll help you build your pages, and this is one of them. This is really cool. So what I'm going to need is I'm going to need a again, some kind of program pulled up to edit my code. In this case, I could use Notepad++. I could use Dreamweaver. Go ahead and fire up Adobe Dreamweaver here, and I'll show you how to build this thing. So while that's launching, I'm going to go ahead and go to this responsivegridsystem.com website and click on that. So what we've got here, I'm just going to break down what we've got here on this website. This is going to make a little more sense when I get into this later, when we get into frameworks and things of that nature, especially in the Web 2 class, if you take that, the Web UX 2 class. Suffice it to say, all we've got here is a page that helps you build your page layout, a grid system page. Oops, Dreamweaver's here. Let me go ahead and walk through this Dreamweaver setup real fast. Apparently nobody set up Dreamweaver on this computer, so I'm going to go ahead and pop this into some basic stuff. Okay, so on my responsive grid system website here, what I've got is a generator. Okay, there's lots of CSS generators and HTML generators out there. The cool thing about this one is this lets you get in and build a grid. Okay, so let's say, for instance, on our website, we would want a row of 4. Now, this is going to be kind of a halvesy, like a weird way of doing this. Again, we're going to get into this a little more next week. I just wanted to show you this in case you wanted to try this for this week. This is a cool website. What we got here, you can generate a number of columns. Let's say, for instance, if we wanted, I'm going to go with 4 columns and show you some stuff with this. Margin. Remember, margin is the space between divs. I talked about this last week. So this will be 1.6% between your margin. What does that look like? I'm going to hit calculate here. That's this space between here, right? This will generate code for 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. Responsive columns that will work on mobile. What do we got here? What is this thing actually doing? Let's check this out. I love this website. This generates your divs. So your HTML, if you look at this HTML and you break it down, we have got a chunk, a div right here. Remember back last week I was saying each div that you make on your page needs to have a wrapper, right? Each thing needs to go in sections. This is a wrapper div. Inside this wrapper div, I've got divs that make up columns. This is a quarter column. These are the classes that are over here in the CSS that inform what this size of this column is. It's a quarter column. It's about a 25% column. You can even look over here in the code and we can see 1 of 4. There's a 1 of 4 here. That's 23.8%. 23.8% obviously isn't 25%, which would be a quarter column, because we have to build in. Remember I was saying we have to build in the margin and padding. There's a 1% margin padding built in here. So that's why it's 23.8% for a quarter column. 1 of 4 is a quarter column, quarter of your page, right? There's 4 of these. 4 quarters lead up to 100% across, right? It's just basic math, right? Just again, divide 100 by 4 and you get 25. What we do with this is the great thing about this generator. Check this out. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pop open a new HTML page here. Okay, create my HTML page. And I want to save this HTML page right out of the gate here. So I'm just going to go File, Save As, just to make sure, like I said before, everything needs to be in a folder when you do this stuff. So always make sure you do new folder for everything. So I'm going to go New Folder. And this is just going to be, let's say this is Midterm. Right? Now remember, you got to name an index for the home page. Remember, any other page can be named anything else, but you have to name your home page index.html. Okay. Now, remember from last week, we're going to be doing external styles next week, but we're still doing internal styles and on-page styles this week. This code should go in the head of your document. Remember, the last thing in the head is where you put your style tag. And what I'm going to do, split this so you can see this a little better. Inside my style tag, I'm going to take all of this CSS. And there's 2 chunks here. There's 2 chunks of CSS. Next week, I will explain a little more in depth what this CSS does. But let's just go ahead and chug it in here. Boom. Okay. So I've pasted all this code inside. Remember, keep it inside the style tag. That's fairly important that it's inside the style tag in your head. Save. Now I'm going to take the HTML, copy that. Remember, everything on your page goes inside the body section. I'm going to make some space in here, and I'm going to paste in this stuff here. I've got my section group, and then each again, div here. Let me just tab them out, cascade it a little better for you. Here's my opening div for this, the wrapper, and each column that I've got here, okay? 4 columns. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to run this thing in a browser, and let's see if it worked. Desktop, midterm, index. I'm going to open this in Chrome. And voila, check this out. 4 columns sitting right next to each other. This thing creates the code automatically for you to get 4 columns. And notice, these columns are responsive. These things resize the size of your browser. Here's the really cool part. Okay, here's the really, really cool part here. I'm going to leave this open. Here's how versatile this is. This is a very light framework. We're going to get into frameworks later. But here's the easy part. Now, this is a wrapper for my first row, right? This is a row of columns. Let's say, for instance, below this column of 4, I wanted a column of 2, right? This is really easy. All I've got to do is copy the whole section group. Remember, copy the whole thing. You want the wrapper for that row. Each row needs to have a wrapper, okay? Now I've got another wrapper, okay, around this second row. I only want 2 columns, so I only need 2 divs. You just need 1 div per column inside the row. I got my row right here. Just cascade these out a little further. And then I've got my column. There we go. Inside my row, right? So here's the first column. Here's the second column. Again, I cascaded a little too far there. Got the row, the wrapper for the row. Column 1, I'm going to do 1 of 2, 1 of 2. Save this out. Again, 4 columns, 2 columns, right? Refresh. Check it out. 1 of 2, 1 of 2. Okay, now, if you notice, these are short columns. This isn't taking up half of my page, right? Because this is a quarter column. Now, inside the CSS, you can even see this. What the cool thing about this generator is I've got the code. If I did a 4-column setup, I've got the code built in for a half column, 2 of 4. Here's what you got to do. Real simple. It's a simple fraction. 1 of 4 is a quarter. 2 of 4 is a half, right? If it's basic math here. Now, watch this. If I refresh this, look at how this is going to jump over. Bingo. 2 columns, 2 even 50% columns. And the cool thing about this, once you get this stuff slugged in here, and honestly, let me do this before I do anything else. Let's copy this whole section group, paste it below here. I'm going to get rid of one of my divs out of there, change this to a 4 of 4 full column. Save. Now this is a full column that goes all the way across. So this is pretty cool. This shows you. Now I can even do stuff like adding background colors in here to get the layout a little better. But the point of this, take away the point of this. The idea with these grid generators is that you're supposed to be able to just jump in, grab code off of a page, a generated piece of code like this, generate your columns. Again, a 4-column grid is about, we'll get into this next week a little more, where we'll do a 12-column grid, and any layout on the web can be generated from a 12-column grid with this grid generator. But this gives you a little taste. You don't have to use this for this week's assignment. You don't have to do this, but you can give it a shot if you want. Remember, all you got to do is paste the code inside a style tag. Your CSS, which is on the right-hand side, even labels it, the CSS, goes inside a style tag up top, and the HTML, the divs, go inside the body. And as long as you don't fool with the classes that are in here too much, you only change the numbers for the amount of columns you need, you can make basically any web layout in the world from just this little chunk of code. So give that a shot. I want you to try some of that stuff on your midterm project. Maybe try this grid generator and see how it works for you. These are still, your pages are still going to be a little clunky and a little weird looking. That's okay. Don't sweat it. I'm expecting them to be a little weird and a little broken. Don't freak out if they are. As always, if you have any questions or concerns on any of this stuff, feel free to hit me up on Canvas. You can hit me up on Teams. You can email me. We can meet in person, whatever you need. So try to do this midterm. Try to crank out a halfway decent looking page for this midterm. And then next week, once you get done with that, we'll get into some more heavy stuff with CSS and be able to style your pages a little bit better. That's all for this week. Good luck to you. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to message me and get them run down as soon as you need. All right, have a good one.